Hi everyone, a very good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. Today's topic is a very interesting one, decoding cash flows for MSMEs. Cash flows is truly a heartbeat for all MSMEs and it is very important to manage it well. Often well managed cash flow is the factor that contributes to growth for MSMEs. And what happens is all the MSMEs often end up doing this in guesswork. So here we are today to decode simple practical methods, simple tips to decode cash flows and to make it easy for you to follow. We have an expert with us today, Indu. Indu has over 20 years of experience. She is qualified as a CMA, CS, and a law graduate, and she has expertise in corporate finance, compliance, and advisory. So she has been supporting MSMEs for over 20 years. So I think we have the right person for the webinar today. Indu, would you like to turn on the camera?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
Also,
you
please
very much,
share your
Ankita.
screen. Yes.
Yeah,
Welcome
thanks a
and
lot,
thank you for
Ankita.
doing this webinar.
Thanks a lot, Ankita, for a beautiful words. And then let's start with decoding then.
Yes, absolutely. So while Indu is just presenting the PPT, I would like to give you a little introduction about IRIS and what we do. So IRIS is a global compliance solution provider. So we have products for regulators as well as companies. So when we say regulators, we help regulators like RBI and other global regulators to collect data from companies, and we help these companies to submit data to these regulators. So we help them streamline their compliances. Now, along with this, we have Iris has also forayed into the data tech segment. When I say data tech, it basically means how to better use data, how to take prudent decisions using data. So Iris MSME is one such initiative in our data tech division. MSMEs, as we all know, you all are the backbone of our country, of our economy, and are significantly contributing towards GDP, export, and hence we at Iris MSME have built a platform for specially designed for all the MSMEs in order to help them grow and in order to take them to the next orbit. So we have multiple solutions like invoicing, lending is also coming up, scheme matching, and more such tools to help MSMEs like you all grow and go to the next level. So that is something about Iris. We have also tied up with three state governments. So we have backing from the government, and we are here to support MSMEs and help them move on to the next orbit. Now I think over to Indu. Without wasting a lot of time, we can start decoding cash flows.
Yeah, yeah, Ankita. Um, so, to start with, today our journey will pass through these three phases: manage, predict, thrive, and finally we'll come to the Q&A session. In manage, we learn how to control the cash you have. There is a famous saying, it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. So that's what we are going to learn in this space of manage or controlling the cash you have. It's very important. The next phase which we turn on into is predict. We must plan for whatever it is going to happen in the future. We must have an idea of how it is going to be and how do we thrive or how do we grow with the smart cash strategies. This is how our journey for this 1 hour is going to be. So, one second. Yeah. So, why does a cash flow matter to all of us? We say cash flow matters because cash flow is one thing which creates sleepless nights to most the MSME entrepreneurs. You know the importance of the cash. Like, like you have been waiting for some payment to come from some customer. So it is one of the factors which gives sleepless night. It may be something like you are waiting for a overdraft facility from a bank, or it may be something you're waiting for a big payment which has to come from the customer, or you have to make a payment to the vendor and your cash is stored tight, and your employee payment is also coming at the same time. All this can happen at the same time. So this causes more stress, and this 90 percentage of the stress for the MSMEs comes from the poor cash flow and the poor cash flow management. Something which you all need to remember is profit is different from cash. Your profit is not equal to cash. I'll tell you a very good example. Now, it's of a small auto manufacturing part company. This company started slow and it picked up its growth momentum very fast. I mean, there are companies which grow slowly, but this went so fast. You can see this is the graph, sample graph of it. I mean, like you can see how the projection went, like just from 50 lakh to 3.5 crore, 4.5 crore. I'm not speaking about sales here. It is about the profit. See how the profit has jumped for this company. Now, when you see the profit to this extent of jump, automatically we will assume that it is a good company and the cash flow will be good. But remember, your profit is not equal to cash. So why so? When you say profit, you concentrate on sales and of course all the relevant expenses which are related to your sales, plus other expenses also, manufacturing, sales expenses, administrative office, every other expenses are covered, and you speak about the profit. Now, cash is the part where you actually see the result of your sales, right? Which is very, very important. See, unless you see the impact of the sales in the cash, there's no use of the sales. See, this company, you see, they have jumped on into the profit, but then slowly they have to come down. They have to come down to this level. Do you know why did this happen? Why did they have to come to this level of profit, 4.5? Okay. Yeah, since it's a webinar, I understand that it's being telecast in the MSME TV also. Yeah, so I'll just say you what is the reason uh, behind this 4.5. The cost of finance, the interest part, the overdraft part, cash crunch which you face. See, you have been growing and you need to further have that working capital. When you don't have that cash flow, you get affected. It affects your bottom line also. The profit also comes down. You need to pay interest. Your working capital flow is not good. So vendors may not supply on time. Okay, so it's all connected. So if you need to maintain your profit sustainably, you can't have a profit for 1 year this much and the next year it flows down by 50 percentage. You need to have it in a stable way, sustainable way. You should grow, but grow in a sustainable way. That's very important. So if you need to do that, you need to concentrate on your cash flow. Cash is king. Real king of any business is cash. Okay. And let's see how what about your cash flow reality. Now, first thing is what creates a cash risk? Any idea what creates a cash risk? Yeah, monitoring, tracking. Yes, right. Tracking creates an important part or plays an important part. Cash risk. If you don't track your cash, you will not know where it is going. See, even I think most of you will be familiar with the saying that even if you're putting something into the river, you should know how much you are putting into the river. You should have the measurement. If it is even a stone, you should have a measurement of how much stone you have put in the river, right? So that is important. The measurement or tracking is very important in a cash flow. You can answer this question for yourself. How often do you track your cash flow? Do you track it daily, weekly, monthly, or you have never tracked, or you may be tracking infrequently? Like whenever you have a problem, you go in and check the cash. That can also happen. So how often do you do it? See, you can see this colors like a daily, weekly, monthly, and never. It says you at which stage you are in, like your traffic signals mostly. See, this daily or weekly depends upon business. Some of the business require daily cash flow tracking. Some of the business require daily receivable tracking, but weekly cash flow tracking. It depends upon the type of business you are in. Okay, so cash risk or the cash crunch which you have can often be smoothed by something like a normal tracking of your cash flow, which is very, very important. So let's understand the cash flow. Let's understand how to manage the cash flow, how important it is to manage the cash flow. So first thing to understand is cash inflow. Remember, cash inflow is different from your sales. It comes from your sales. It's a proceeds from your sales. Most of the cases, your major cash inflow is from your sales, and also you will get cash inflow as a capital, whatever you have pitched in and all. But a major cash inflow is from your invoices. There's cash which comes in through your invoices, not the invoices as such, but the value which comes out of the invoices. So cash inflow, then the money goes into the bank. Then you have a cash outflow by the way of paying the bills for either power, water, employees, internet, communication expenses, everything. All of this goes by way of a cash outflow. One thing which you need to do maybe after this webinar is track your inflows and outflows. You should start this today. Okay, so another thing in this is categorize your expenses or bill. What are the must-haves and what are the nice-to-haves? Okay, when you say must-haves, your power bill payment requires to be paid on a monthly basis. Utility bills like internet, telephone, mobile phones, and water all have to be paid. And also rent, all of this are must-haves. Employee bills, internship payments, yes, all of this are must-haves. So what are the nice to have or something which you can push back? Maybe gift which you are planning to give to your employees. Yes, it is nice to have, nice to give them the gift, but then you can plan it a little bit later. Or the inventory which you are planning for a bigger project which is going to come after 1 month. It is a nice to have. It may not be a must have. So categorize the expenses. Categorizing your expenses helps to take control of your cash. have a simple weekly tracker, something like this, or you may have your own trackers. Okay, where you give week wise opening balance, inflow, outflow, and closing balance. See, if you see in this figure, opening balance is the cash whichever we have in the hand at the end of the month. Whatever you have closing balance will become an opening balance of the next month. In your bank you may have some amount, or some in petty cash you may have some amount, include both, and then you have your opening balance. And then you have an inflow maybe from your invoices, or if you're renting out your building or something, it may be even coming from that. Outflows are all the expenses. Then you arrive at the net figure of this closing balance. See, if you see here, this is a simple tracker. So where you see week 1 and week 3 are clearly denoted as a problem area. This is for micro and small enterprises. If you see, most of the micro and small enterprises have an average monthly expense of around 2 to 3 lakh. Okay, so the minimum cash flow which they are supposed to have in their account for a week is around 75,000. So you can accordingly calculate for your business. Maybe if your business is slightly big, calculate how much is the minimum cash which is required for a month and how much it will be required for a week. It depends on the business. Okay, but if you see for a normal micro and small enterprises, this is how we calculate for a micro and small enterprises. It's average around 75,000, where your expenses is between 2 to 3 lakh. So wherever it comes below this closing balance comes below that 75,000, we have a setting where we automatically say that you are below that 75,000 mark, where you will face a cash crisis or a cash crunch. This simple weekly tracker helps you identify week 1 and week 3 or problems for you. Now, how can there be a problem in week 1 and week 3 alone? Because you all know there are cyclical businesses. There will also be an operating cycle businesses. Like for some businesses, week 1, your inflows will be literally nil. Even you can have zero in this column. And for some business, it will be equal all through. So it depends upon business to business. So in whichever week you have your inflow as minimal, don't plan any nice to haves outflow. Week 1, don't plan to have any nice to have outflow or nice to have expenses. Don't post it on outflow. Give the gift to your customer or to the employee, but just postpone it or prepone it by a week. Not prepone, actually postpone in this case will work. Yeah, so here you can see how helpful it is to have a weekly tracker. It will help you to understand how your business cash works. So build a weekly tracker. That's a task you must do after finishing this webinar. Okay, you may have your time, and for that fact, even the BIM, by the National Payment Corporation, you have the BIM app, right? Even they have an expense tracker. Okay, it's a very nice pie diagram. You can just go click on the expenses and you will see the pie where your money went. And there are different apps which helps you in this for weekly tracking of your inflow and outflow just based upon your bank statement. And also there are many other apps and tools which helps you to track your inflows and outflows. The tools are many, but we have to use it. Okay, so that's one thing, simple weekly tracker you can have. Now you have a simple weekly tracker. Next very important thing is to predict or forecast your cash. Unless you predict or the forecast the cash, which you want in future, you will never know when the crunch is going to hit, when the crisis is going to hit you. You need to have an idea of when the crisis is going to hit me, so that you can plan for it beforehand. Okay. Yep. This is something which everybody has to do. Any MSME which is in this sphere, you need to forecast. Here I have given 4 to 8 weeks ahead, but then we suggest for every MSME to have an 8 week projection. This 8 week projection helps you to avoid the overdrafts. You will take n number of overdraft from the bank, and think about the interest which you have to pay for the overdraft and the vendor payments delay. Because of the vendor payment delay, you don't get the parts on time. If you don't get parts on the time, production is affected, your delivery for the customer is affected. It is a cycle. This cycle, if you want to avoid, start forecasting. Don't react, anticipate that beforehand. Have a forecast for 8 weeks ahead. Steps are very simple. Opening balance, have it in the mind, add the expected receipts. So when I say add expected receipts, here one thing is very, very important. See, you have made an invoice and there is a due date for the payment of an invoice. And don't, whenever you add an expected receipt, ensure you add what you will only get. So what does it mean? You know the due date is 45 days, but you know the customer, he will always give it after 50 days money. He won't give on 45 days. There may be so many reasons, but then expected payments, the realistic expected date is what you have to take. You cannot take the bookish expected date. Realistic expected date, add that expected receipts, subtract whatever be the planned payment you have, and then you identify the negative weeks. The negative weeks are the overdraft weeks which are going to create problem for you. Now, when you identify the negative weeks, you can clearly think of what you can do next. Okay, now one of the important tip here is about the receivable analysis. Now, I would suggest every MSME to do a receivable analysis on a daily basis, not on a weekly basis. Please do it on a daily basis. You track the customer payment timelines, in which date they are in. Identified who are the slow payers. There will be slow payers. Most of the time, there are slow payers. Many OEMs are slow payers. You prioritize your collection action. You follow up. You start following up daily. Now, 60% of this MSMEs issues comes only from the delayed payment. And so there was this one MSME who actually started this 8 week forecast program. Okay, we just suggested and they started following this 8 week forecast program just on a trial basis, because they were also going into this overdraft cycle, taking interest and all. So they started following this 8 week forecast. See, what a forecast does is it gives you a clear idea of when you are going to face a cash crunch. When you know that in this time you are going to face a cash crunch, you will start preparing for it too early. Unless you see it, you won't prepare for it. But if you are seeing it, then you will prepare for it. So once you have this predictions or the forecast in front of you, you will start seeing, oh, this customer is not at all paying money. He is never paying the money on due date. Okay, or else on due date, if he is not paying, see, this is a realistic case. See, most of the customer, they are supposed to pay on due date, but unless you follow up, they you will start following only when your due date is over, when he is not paying you. After that, he will start processing your payment. That has become the habit for them. You identify them. So they pay only after your two follow-ups. So make your two follow-ups early, not after the due date, but before the due date. So in this way, what happens? You prioritize the collection action. This customer, after doing this forecast, no, like the client, the customers actually started paying for the client, and he actually saved somewhere around 30 percentage on his overdraft. Yes, still they have to take some overdraft, but then still the 30 percentage of cash got saved on overdraft. Just following, just asking before the due date. You know that's the duty of the customer to pay on that 45th due date, but no, we all know that they don't pay. So just prepone your ask. Don't ask after 45th day, start asking them from 35th day. Just a phone call away. Okay, so your sales have to materialize into cash. Unless it materializes into cash, your flow will be affected. Always think cash flow as a cycle. It doesn't start from receiving the money, it actually starts from planning your purchases itself. What you should purchase, when you should purchase, all those matters. The inventory matters. Now, I'll give you an example of how the forecast and realistic is. See, in this case, this was also a best case example, like where you can see the forecast line is given here in blue color and the actual here is given in the green color. Okay, so this is an 8-week forecast. You can see when we started on week 1, it was much below the 75,000 mark, much below the 75,000 mark. But then, see, you can see it somewhere close to 25,000, 24, 25,000 it was. And slowly the forecast was too high, but then the actual, you can see that area of difference between the forecast and the actual. In an ideal forecast, there should not be more than 5 to 10 percentage difference. So initially, when you do the forecasting, the difference will be something this vast between the week 7, week 8 and all, because the closer period you will have a fair idea. But for the after week 4, you may not have one. That you will think it will come, but it may not come. So you this will take more streamlining. So for the initial, uh, you can say for 3 cycles of 8-week forecast, okay, you will have something like this. There will be the variance between the forecast and actual. It slowly it has to come down. It won't come down immediately, and even there are few cases where even after the forecast has been perfected, due to some circumstances forecast and actual will not match. Nothing to worry about it, but whatever is in your control, you can forecast and be ready for it or be prepared for it. So how do we take it as a cycle? See, when you say forecast, you need to think it in all aspects. First aspect you need to think is your purchases. Okay, you give credit to your customer. You also need to think about your vendor. When do you need to make the payment to the vendor? Everything you purchase is an inventory for you. Inventory which has not been put use in your production area, this is I'm mainly saying it for the manufacturing units, is just a pile of cash sitting around. You need to use the inventory, otherwise you're losing the cash. Inventory management becomes important, and you don't apply the inventory management after the inventory has come into your warehouse. You need to use that inventory management before it comes to your warehouse. Be responsible purchaser. Because your vendor is giving you batch quantity discount, Just don't buy a part and store it for 6 months in your warehouse. It occupies your warehouse space. Number one, it blocks your cash. Number three, what happens? You don't get the orders for the blocked quantity. It becomes a non-moving inventory. Be a responsible purchases because you're getting a discount. Don't buy in block quantity or the bulk quantities and get a discount. If it is required, though, yes, you need to do it. But if it is something which you can plan it and phase it out, don't buy inventory in bulk. Be a responsible purchaser. Always think about the must have and nice to have principle, whether it is inventory or it is some expenses related to sales, marketing, training, HR, employees, anything. Categorize any form of cash expenses into two: must have, nice to have. Concentrate on must haves. Particularly when you are having a cash crunch in your business, concentrate only on must haves. Now that's on purchases. Now coming to the next part, the production part. See, whether you're selling or not selling, there are certain expenses which you need to pay. The base power expenses, base utility or water expenses. If you are a different type of a manufacturer, you may even require the air expenses. So do please take care of that. So next come your part on, excuse me, one second. Next comes your part of production, and then your receivable. As important is your production part, where you need to pay your employee bills, utility bills, electricity bills, which are must-haves. And then think about anything, any expenses related to production. Should I do it now or can I do it later? Okay, it can be something like, should I buy this machine now or can I lease it? Or if you are working in an industry cluster, can 2 or 3 manufacturing company join together and purchase it so that your cash doesn't get blocked? These are some things which you really need to think about, right? And coming to receivable, be aware of the cases where beyond 45 days payment is not happening. You have support. All the MSMEs have support. We will see more of that in the manage section, sorry, thrive section or the grow section. So as far as this prediction is concerned, for the receivable part, please understand that you need to get your due dates very carefully listed down and track the due dates. So this is a whole cash flow process. You understand it as a flow, not just as one single process. That's very important. You raise an invoice today, okay, that's fine, very good. But then on raising an invoice, when will you get the payment? When you raise an invoice today, it is sales. It will give you profit, but it doesn't immediately give you cash. If you realize the payment, that gives you cash. That is important. Okay, so this is about your manage and predict. So since we learn to manage and predict, let us go to the next part of thriving or strengthening the cash position, which is very important for all the MSME. So you have to move from survive. The first two things, no, the manage and predict, it will help you to survive. But if you want to really grow, This is where you have to concentrate. Accelerate your inflow. That's exactly what every MSME should be doing. First thing you can do is you can start giving this early payment discounts. See, due date of payment is, assume that within 45 days you need to make the payment 45 days. There may be some customers who are ready to pay early if you give them a small discount. Okay, so for every invoice you can give some sort of discount, like maybe 2% discount. Now, this 2% discount, you may initially feel 2% money is going out, but think about the interest which you have to take on your overdraft. Okay, you see this early payment discount, if you implement it properly, your cash flow will improve very nicely. We have seen cases where they have uh, there was overdraft, of course, but then the overdraft limit was much overdraft amount which they have to take was much less than what we were taking earlier, like 2.5 to 3 lakh reduction was there just because of the early payment discount or utilization of the early payment discount policy, like where they give around 2% discount for the customers. It can be 1%, 2%, 5%, depends upon your cash crunch or the pricing policy which you have, but you can do that. That is one of the best way to accelerate the inflows without doing much. Now, there are two other things which you can do. One is this threads platform. Most of you must now know about MSME, must know about this threads platform, which is being supported by RBI. Okay, so here you go, and the only thing with threads platform is it is whenever you sell it to government or the enterprises which are having a good credit rating and registered with the threads, you can upload your invoices in the threads platform, and there will be bidding for discounting of your invoices. The rest, the total amount, I mean, it will go to the best bidder. So you can select whom do you want to go with, and you get almost 90% of your money immediately. That is, of course, some platform, small platform charges, and also some discounting value which depends upon the bidding it will go, but rest of the money you will get immediately. This actually improves your working capital inflow immediately without going in for overdrafting. You can use your invoice as a base. When you use your invoice as a base, you avoid taking unnecessary overdraft or paying interest on that overdraft. This is one thing which you can do if you are supplying for government or you are supplying for a customer who is having a good credit rating and who is also registered with TRIDS. The next thing which you can do is invoice factoring. Of course, most of the MSMEs who are in the export area are already doing the invoice factoring, but you can try out the same invoice factoring not only for export but also for the local or the domestic sales. Okay, so when you are doing this invoice factoring, one important factors which you have to notice: please file your GST returns on time. You can use the IRIS GST platform for that too, and have all this uh, income tax related filing very clearly, and then your relationship with the customer and what are the invoices you are going to give to them, and how trustworthy of your customer, how they have paid, their payment record. The data which you maintain is very, very important for the invoice factoring. That will help you to get smooth credit on the basis of your invoices. See, here you don't have to pay any interest. No surety is required here. No documentation except for the invoice related documentation. Once you are able to convince a banker to factor the invoices for certain set of customers, then you get the money early so that your working capital doesn't get affected. That's the first thing to do. Accelerate your inflows. Next thing is delay your outflows. Now, where and all your outflows will go? First, this vendor credit. So you give credit to your customer. So your vendor also should give credit to you. Don't try to make any immediate payments. Try to get a credit limit from him. If it is 30 days, try to increase up to 45 days at least. 45 to 60 days. Try to bring it in the band of 45 to 60 days so that you delay your outflow. You don't move it immediately. You delay your outflow. Next thing is lease with buy decision. Okay, this leasing with buying decision is very important for this MSME because you buy a machinery, maybe for production. Does it make any sense to lease that machine instead of buying the machine? Or can, as I said earlier, can if you are in a cluster, can three, four manufacturers join together and buy a machine? Think about that. Because when you buy yourself, you will be blocking that cash. If you don't want to block that cash, try to see different method. See, even if you see many software companies are leasing out their laptops, not only software company, now many other companies are also leasing out their laptops and computers. I'm just saying because every office requires it, but why to buy it? Instead, lease it. So think whether that is an option for you if you are going to put lot of chunk of cash into one particular area. And think about the inventory optimization. So when I say inventory, you cannot have blocked inventory. That is inventory just which sits at the corner without after. See, there are two things here. After you produce, your finished product can sit there without any customer. That is one inventory blockage. Where you have put in your material, where you have put your labor, it is just standing there. Where you are not able to get your customers to buy that particular product. It doesn't make any sense to put all your power, water, labor, everything into it and then produce something and just it keeps standing there for more than 6 months. Optimize the inventory, whether it is finished products or raw material. So, what about the raw material? Plan your purchases. Follow just-in-time principle. I understand there are few materials where the just-in-time principle doesn't work. Yes, wherever applicable, use the just-in-time principle. That inventory, just because it is going to stand in your warehouse, doesn't add any value to you. That is cash getting blocked. So when you accelerate your inflow and delay your outflow, automatically you will start growing. Leverage the government support. Now, the government is supporting the MSMEs in the most efficient way. You have this MSME Champions portal, Samadhan portal, SIDBI schemes, which are all really helping you. CGT MSE and then SIDBI schemes. You can go to the Irish Peridot app and register yourself and then see which schemes are applicable to you. You will get the list of the schemes which are applicable to your particular MSME when you use that app. And then that's about the schemes part where we help the different MSMEs to identify the schemes which are applicable to them. And if you have any grievance, you can report it in the Samadhan portal. Wherever the due date of payment is delayed, you can go to the MSME Champions portal. So this actually helps you to grow fast or survive fast. Now let's see this checklist. If you want to control your cash flows, I'll suggest you 5 steps. You can start this from today. Record your inflow and outflow at least weekly. This is minimum. Many, if you see many enterprises which have succeeded, they are recording the inflow and outflow daily, not weekly. They are doing it daily, but you can at least start doing it weekly. Always forecast 2 months ahead. Monitor your receivables daily and plan for something like the threats platform, invoice factoring, where you get your cash flow immediately and you don't have to wait for long term. Plan the funding for negative weeks. It may even be the new credit card scheme for MSME, or it may be the overdraft scheme, whatever it be, but plan where you're going to get the funds for the negative weeks beforehand. In every month, you review and adjust the forecast. Okay, because you cannot have the exact forecast every time. You need to see how far you are from the forecast and what is your actual. So review your forecast and your actual, adjust them on the monthly basis, which is very much required. These 5 steps will help to control your cash flow. You can see a sample dashboard of a MSME. See, you can see here, okay, this or the closing balance. This is the closing balance, the blue color line which you see here, it is the closing balance. And this green color is your inflow and red color is your outflow. Now, if you see this part, the month of March, you can clearly see the outflows are more than the inflows. Okay, in this case, definitely this area they would have gone into an overdraft. Okay, there are MSMEs which will be in the overdraft. We are not saying it's not possible. Yes, of course, you are starting, you will be there in the overdraft situation. Nothing wrong, but plan for that beforehand. And then here again, you can see the area where it has again started, the outflow has exceeded the inflow. Again, you need to plan for the month of June. By seeing the trend of this, definitely the June will be one of the difficult month for them. So you can see like this, like where it will be a problem. Maybe this MSME faces the problem every quarter. Like the cumulative effect is coming to it on quarter. And what exactly can be done to minimize this? How to plan it properly? You can have this dashboard, something like a dashboard. You can have, in fact, with your previous year data, you can have a dashboard like this. Okay, you can use your simple bank statements, have a dashboard with this like this, which can help you see. If you actually here, if you click on it, your opening balance, the value will come, inflow value will come, outflow value will come, and closing balance will come. So all of this will come. It's easy for you to check everything in one go, and you can decide which months are really creating a problem. You can work on your previous year data. You can just take your previous year data, have a cash flow dashboard, and you can see which months are creating problem for you and why. And when you do this why, you will understand the behavior of your customer, your vendor, and where exactly you need to negotiate. Do you have to negotiate with your customer, or do you have to negotiate with the vendor? Where exactly is the problem, you will come to know if you have the data. No, data is the new money. It's like, that's the reality. If you have the data, you will exactly know where your money is going and how you can grow. Yeah, that's an example of the dashboard. Now, if you want to be at the top, you need to follow this. daily or weekly control. This will give you stability of, it will help you to know where you are. The stability will be given to you by the daily and weekly control. Track, which is very important. Next is predict. Don't have any cash surprises, whether it is overdraft. Yeah, you need to know which are the weeks of cash crunches or which are the months of cash crunches. Okay, even in the month, you need to know which particular week is going to create a cash crunch. That's why we suggest forecast at least for 8 weeks and follow the smart strategies. All the smart strategies helps you to grow, whether registering on trades or going in for whenever the delayed payment is there, go and check the portal. If you have grievance, address it in the Samadhan portal. All of this helps you. So when you track, predict, and optimize, you will be literally growing and you will be on track. So with this, we are coming to the close of our webinar. Now it's open for your own thoughts. Ankita?
Hi, Indu. Thank you so much for such an insightful session. I'm sure our audience must have benefited out of all the tips and tricks that you have given, and simple hacks and simple trackers that you have given them, right from starting to tracking cash flows regularly, and forecasting not just 4 weeks but 8 weeks in advance, and knowing customers and just prompting them to pay, or just reminding them to pay sooner. And so all these tips are really helpful, and the tracker also that you shared, I'm sure our audience will use it. So thanks a lot. And if any of the audience members has any questions, you can drop it in the comments below, or you can write to us at hello@irismsme.com. You can also we'll also send across a form. You can suggest topics that you would like us to cover for future webinars, so that we can help you out with topics that you would like to hear from us. And also, while concluding, I would just want to talk about our platform called Iris Peridot. Indu, can you just present the screen once? Yes, next slide. So I would like to talk about our mobile application called Iris Peridot. So over here we have lots of tools that will support MSMEs like you. So it has MSME TV right here where you're watching the webinar. We have more content planned, a lot of things coming up, and so you need to stay tuned to these MSME TV. Scheme matching is there. If you have not used that tool, it is a very very good tool. Just by filling up a quick 5-10 minute survey, you actually get access to schemes that are specifically tailored to your business. So there is a scheme matching tool. Please try it out. Digital invoicing is also now live. You can actually make invoices right from your mobile device. It's very very simple. You can go check it out on the MSME homepage. Compliance calendar also comes up regularly. So monthly compliances, what all is coming up, what deadlines are coming up, so all those reminders are also there. Borrowing and e-marketplace is something that is in the works. It will come up soon, so stay tuned. And please try out. For those who have not downloaded the app, please download. It's for free. You can get access to all these tools. So yes, and thank you so much for tuning into the webinar today. I hope you all found it helpful, and we'll keep coming up with more such webinars. Do suggest topics. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks, Indu. Thank you so much.